Hey all you music fans out there, my name's Andy Rodriguez, also known as the Blackspinner. If you're new to our channel, what I am doing is I'm going through my record collection. I'm doing them in alphabetical order and in chronological order. I've been record collecting for over 20 years now, and I've gotten quite a collection. Now, today is a very special episode. Today I'll be going through the albums of my favorite band, the Beatles. And without further ado, here we go. And also, what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be going in chronological order. And also, I'm going to be talking about key tracks on each album. So here we go. First album, Please Please Me by the Beatles. This was released in 1963. And almost every song by the Beatles I love. So I'm not going to read every song on every album. But what I will do is talk about the key tracks on each one. And the key tracks on here, one of them was I Saw Her Standing There, which really got them going. And also, it ends with Twist and Shout, which had been done several times before, but not with the energy like that the Beatles did. This album was recorded in 11 hours by George Martin. The second album, with the Beatles. Now this album, like the first, did have several covers, but they also had a lot of originals. And the originals here were All My Lovin', It Won't Be Long, All I've Gotta Do, Don't Bother Me, and Hold Me Tight, I Wanna Be Your Man, and Not a Second Time. And this album here, they did record a couple of Motown hits. And the Beatles were big fans of the Motown sound, and they did do homage to them on this album. The next album, album number 3, was also their first movie, A Hard Day's Night. And the key tracks on this album were the title track, Can't Buy Me Love, and I Should Have Known Better, and Things We Said Today. Now, I know there are a lot of good songs on these albums, but I'm just going to hit key tracks that were just fantastic and made big dents and big changes in the world of rock music, and just in rock and pop music. Their fourth album, Beatles for Sale. I bought this one when I was in vacation in Las Vegas. It's pretty neat that, I pulled it out, and here's the gatefold for it. And when I pulled it out, I was a little hesitant because there was a little scratch on it. And the store owner was very kind to say, hey, well, let me go ahead and play it for you while you're shopping around, and if you like it, you can get it. So I thought that was pretty nice of him. So he played the whole thing for me and my friend Jeremy that was with me. And I went ahead and grabbed it. And here's the gatefold again. That's pretty neat. The pictures on this side. And pictures of them live there. And their next album is their fifth album, which was their second movie in 2 years. I don't know how these guys did it, but they did. Help. And the key tracks on here were, of course, the title song Help. Yesterday was one of the great ballads, one of the first of its kind to have a string quartet along with a band. What else was on here? You Got to Hide Your Love Away, and I Need You. I Need You was such a beautiful George Harrison song. It was just great. And Ticket to Ride, and I've Just Seen a Face is also another great song by, that one was by Paul. And after that, I don't have the sixth one, but I don't have their sixth one, but I do have their seventh one. Revolver. Now this is sometimes number 1 on my list, and sometimes it's in the top 3, which we will get to what is on my top ones. But Revolver. The key tracks on here that just revolutionized the way that we were listening to music. And that would be Taxman. Eleanor Rigby was a big hit. And I think Eleanor Rigby won a Grammy for Best Pop Vocals. And I think it was the only Grammy the Beatles ever won. Yellow Submarine was a big hit for them. They even made a movie with that. And the playful lyrics and the playful singing by Ringo is just fantastic. And let me see here. Good Day Sunshine for No One is a heartbreaker of a ballad. And this ends with a very interesting song called Tomorrow Never Knows. If you've never heard Tomorrow Never Knows, stream it. It's fantastic. They really start to play around in the studio with that song, with drum loops and playing things backwards on tape, and just double tracking the guitar and the echoes of the vocals. If you've never heard it, you really need to check it out for yourself, because it's a winner. It really is. And after that one came album number 7, which is Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Now this is sometimes hailed as one of the greatest rock albums of all time. But what this album did was part of a couple of albums that taught rock music there are no more rules. Let's throw all the rules away and do whatever you want. Just go all at it. Whatever songs, whatever noise, whatever instruments you have, whatever production you want to do it. Rules have been broken. Albums like this one, albums like Bob Dylan's The Blonde on Blonde, albums like Franz Zappa and the Mothers of Invention Freak Out, which those two were double albums, but they were just amazing with so much different noises to come out during those times. And here's the inside of it. Just as colorful as the music that's inside. Look at that great gatefold is. Album tracks on here, of course, is the title track, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and it cascades into are you kidding me? With a little help with my friends, I can't really read it, so small, but there's the back of it there. And it also has Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, and the 3 songs that inside one are the meat and potatoes for me on this here. They are Fixing a Hole, Getting Better all the time, and also She's Leaving Home. Those 3 songs are just fantastic in an inside one. Side 2, I do like side 2. I don't care very much for With or Without You. I think it really slows the album down. But it spearheads again through When I'm 64 and Lovely Rita, and then Good Morning, which is such a great song and is very underrated. And that song takes you through a day in someone's life. You know, waking up, going to work, being at work, coming home, spending time with your family, and the guitar break at the end is just unbelievable. And of course it ends with A Day in the Life, which it's hard to explain that song, but every time I hear it, I fall in love with it. And I also forgot to mention a benefit for Mr. Kite. Again, playing around in the studio with tapes and loops, it's just great. And then let's take another look at the inside, because the inside is just great. And next we have Magical Mystery Tour. Now this was another album and film that the Beatles went ahead and did on their own. They directed it, and they did so many things on their own with this movie. And the movie was okay, but look at this, which is pretty interesting. This does have the book that is inside of it, which shows clips from the movie. I'm not going to do page by page, but just to show you the different stuff that is in here. That's them over here performing I Am the Walrus over here on this side. And the songs on here, again, just earth-shattering songs. We're talking about the title track Magical Mystery Tour and Full on a Hill and Blue Jay Way and I Am the Walrus. And side 2 starts off with Hello Goodbye and goes into Strawberry Fields Forever and then goes into Penny Lane and it ends with All You Need Is Love. And another great album track is Baby You're a Rich Man, which is a fantastic song. And here's the back of it with the guys in all their glory and their tuxes in the movie. And I had bought this in my hometown of Corpus Christi, and my friend Jesse, this was his favorite album back then, and his brother Luther had a record shop, and I think it was just the outside of downtown Corpus, and I bought this album at his record shop. I forgot the name of the shop. It was so long ago. And next we have the ever famous White Album. Double album. You know, a lot of double albums were coming out that time. It was the norm, pretty much, for 1968, for a lot of double albums to be coming out. Now, there's a lot of controversy about this album. You know, a lot of people say, you know, it could have been just one album. They could have shortened it. But I was listening to it this morning, and I was thinking to myself, what are you going to cut out? What are you going to do without? This album's fantastic with all the quirks and all the little snippets of music. I mean, Revolution 9 is a bunch of loops and noise that it could be called, which could be on alternative rock today. That song was just ahead of its time, and all the songs on the first album and all the songs on the second album, I mean, I can list them, but they're all great. But let's go ahead and let's get some key tracks out. Just the landing of the plane as it's coming in for back in the USSR, it's like, oh, this is starting. They're about to start right now. And when that plane comes in and you hear the music come in, it's great. And then it goes into Dear Prudence, and then Oh Blah Dee Blah Da, and then Green Onion, and all these little songs that just make up a great album. And then it goes into While My Guitar Gently Weeps, with Eric Clapton being a guest star on there. And one of my favorite songs on side 1, on album 1, is Don't Pass Me By, sung by Ringo Starr. And also the song on there, I Will, is a very playful, lighthearted acoustic song by Paul, and right after that is a very bone-chilling acoustic song, Julia, by John, a song about his mother. And then side 2, I mean, not side 2, but the second album just rips it up with Birthday and Your Blues, and Everyone's Got Something to Hide Except for Me and My Monkey, and Sexy Sadie. It just, and then the hard, heavy metal of Helter Skelter, and it's so loud and so thunderous, and then it goes to a very quiet, almost whispered song, Long, 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 by George Harrison, which is one of my favorite songs by George. And Savoy Truffle, it's a recipe of how to make candy, and it's fantastic. And Honey Pie, people don't talk about Honey Pie that much, but every time I hear Honey Pie on the White Album, it reminds me of a 1930s Hollywood starlet like a Hollywood starlet's biography. And it's just wonderful, and I love this album from beginning to end. Sometimes this is my favorite, and right now it is my favorite. And the inside is pretty neat. I got these out, so I'm not tackling with them, but it's got all the lyrics of it right there. Oh, it's upside down. Oh no! Oh, remember this? I forgot that this had stretched out to a poster. Yeah, it sure does. It stretches out to a poster. And on the flip side of the poster are all the lyrics to every song. That's pretty neat. And also, they came with these 4x11, well, I really don't know the sizes. I guess 14 by 11 pictures of each guy. George, Paul, George, and Ringo, which is really neat. You put this all back. And after that album came Abbey Road. That's a fantastic album cover. This is one of the most famous album covers of all time. This album, sometimes it's my number one. Probably be my number one tomorrow. And then I'll go back to Revolver on Sunday. But everything on here is fantastic. We're going from Come Together to something. Maxwell Silverhammer, Oh Darling, Octopus's Garden, I Want You, She's So Heavy, with that drudgery, just dun 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 dun. It's just great. And then of course we all know about the medley side. It's almost 25 minutes. Let's just call it 25 minutes of pure rock heaven. And just the way it's just connected, and each little song tells a story of a character within itself. It's great. And then we come to the last album released by the Beatles, and that is Let It Be. And there's the inside of it. And the key tracks on here were Two of Us, Dig a Pony, Across the Universe is great. Dig It. No, I'm sorry, not Dig It. Sorry about that. But the title track, I've Got a Feeling, One After 909, The Long and Winding Road, For You Blue, and Get Back. Really great songs on here. And but if you got a chance, pick up Let It Be Naked. That is better, in my opinion. It's not as weighed down and overproduced, which a lot of people complained about this album, but I mean, we were so used to hearing it this way. And that concludes the 12 albums 12 albums, but I only had 11. I've got one missing, which we all know, it's Rubber Soul. But I have compilations and also American versions. Let's start off with this one here. Hey Jude. This one is a collection of songs. This has Hey Jude. This has Revolution, Paperback Writer, I Should Have Known Better, Lady Madonna, and Can't Buy Me Love, Don't Let Me Down, and Battle of John and Yoko, and Rain. Now, the important part about this album is that they have singles on here that were not released on regular albums, and we'll get to that in just a few more minutes. So the Beatles and the record company, they would release albums in England, and then Capitol in America would release their own albums, kind of combining certain albums from certain periods and releasing it in America. This is the Beatles' second album, and this will have Roll Over Beethoven, Thank You Girl, You Really Got a Hold on Me, Long Tall Sally. So this is kind of like the second album released by them, called With the Beatles. But they do have some key single tracks on here, which is Thank You Girl and Long Tall Sally. Those were not released on the albums. So the American versions are a little bit different, and they are released by Capitol, and you can tell because they will have the Capitol logo on them. And next, we'll have an album that has the album cover, which was very similar to with the Beatles, but this is Meet the Beatles. And you can tell the Capitol logo up here. And also this will have I Want to Hold Your Hand, which again was a single which was not released on regular albums. So the American versions would combine the two. And This Boy, which was another single. I Saw Her Standing There, which was Please Please Me. And It Won't Be Long. Little Child, Hold Me Tight. I Want to Be Your Man, and Not a Second Time are on this album. And just to with the Beatles, Meet the Beatles. See, can right there. You see the differences with and Meet, and they have different songs on them. One is the American version, and then one is the version by Parlophone that came out of England. I'll get those later. And another American one was Beatles 65. This one has No Reply, I'm a Loser, Babies in Black, which are the songs that are on Beatles for Sale. I can't believe I didn't talk about that one that much, but I'll come back to them. And Honey Don't, and She's a Woman, and Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby. This was a fun album to listen to. And another Capitol release here. We're talking about Beatles 4. I'm sorry, Beatles 6. I gotta practice on my Roman numerals. This also combines some songs that were on Help and on the Beatles for Sale. This has Kansas City, which is just a great rocker, and it's also another cover. 8 Days a Week, You Like Me Too Much, which was off of Help. I Don't Want to Spoil the Party, that is off of Beatles for Sale, and it's a beautiful ballad. So sad. What You're Doing, and Every Little Thing, and Tell Me What You See, other great songs off of Help. And this was also released by Capitol Records here in America. Help, the movie soundtrack. It's got there's the inside of it with pictures of the guys on the set of the movie. And this one here is the motion picture. So this one has the songs that are in the movie, and also in between are scores by George Martin that are placed in between the songs that were in the. It's like a music score. Now this, I bought this when I was on vacation in New Orleans. Rubber Soul. But I did not know when I had bought it, it's the Capitol version. Not the original version over here. This does not have Nowhere Man. And this starts off, if you're a Beatle fan, and if you know what songs are on albums, this one has I've Just Seen a Face, which is on Help. And this also has It's Only Love, which is on Help. But this does have Norwegian Wood, You Won't See Me, Think for Yourself, and Michelle. This does not. The ones that are missing, I believe, are I Need You by George and John's Nowhere Man, which are the two of my favorite songs on this album. But this also has In My Life and Wait. But Rubber Soul is also sometimes one of my favorite Beatle albums. The reason why this is back here is because it's the American version. So I did not put it with the others. I need to find the normal version. And what we have next is Beatles Yesterday and Today. And I'm pretty sure y'all know the very famous album cover with all the meat. Even if they had it, I wouldn't want it. Drive My Car, I'm Only Sleeping. So now this one combines Revolver and Help. And I think this is going to be one of the last ones that are like this, because when they got into Sgt. Pepper's, everything was universal. There was no American version after Revolver. So this has Drive My Car, I'm Only Sleeping. This has Nowhere Man on it. They make up for it now. Dr. Robert and Yesterday, which is, Yesterday came from Help. So this has parts of Help, Rubber Soul, and a Revolver. And Your Bird Can Sing. If I Needed Someone. There we go. That was the other one that was missing on Rubber Soul. And this also has Day Tripper, which is a album track. Well, not an album track, but a single that was released. So now we get into compilations. I know, I go on and on, right? But this one is Beatles featuring Tony Sheridan. These are a lot of early Beatles. We're talking about 59, 60, 61, when they were busting their chops out there in Hamburg, Germany, when they would play just constantly 3 or 4 shows a day and almost for 10 hours a day. There's the inside of it with pictures of the guys when they were young. The song and a little bit of words by George Harrison explaining and talking about what this album was and how it was for them in Hamburg. And what we have here coming next are a couple of famous compilations. They had a series of 2 different compilations on this one. I'll talk about Beatles 62 to 66, the Red Album. That's what this is called sometimes. I like the inside of it. I like the pictures of the guys there with other people. Looks like they're waiting to get into a zoo, I guess. And this has everything you want. If you don't want the album track, the albums, these have not just the hit songs, but very important album tracks. That's what's so great about this. It is a double album, and the lyrics are on the paper sleeve there. And the songs on here are Who's Who of Beatles songs. Love Me Do, Please Please Me, She Loves You, All My Love, Can't Buy Me Love, A Hard Day's Night, 8 Days a Week, I Feel Fine, You've Got to Hide Your Love Away, Day Tripper, We Can Work It Out, Norwegian Wood. So this basically goes from Please Please Me all the way to a Revolver, which I would have stopped at Rubber Soul and put Revolver in with the Blue, which is right here. The Blue, again, are a great compilation. The inside's the same, but I forgot to show you the back are them young in the blue, and the back where they're older in the red. And the songs on here are going to be from Sgt. Pepper all the way to Let It Be. And I used to have this on cassette when I was younger, and I wore this thing out. Strawberry Fields Forever, Penny Lane, Sgt. Pepper's, With a Little Help of My Friend, Lucy in the Sky, A Day in the Life, All You Need Is Love, Hey Jude, Revolution. Now this is a different version of Revolution that's on Revolution 1 on the White Album. This is the electric one. The electric one that was released as a single. Oh Blah Dee Blah Da, Get Back, Don't Let Me Down, which was another single release. Here Comes the Sun, Come Together, Octopus's Garden, Let It Be. I mean, just like I said before, album tracks and hit songs combined. It's great. The next one we have Beatles at the Hollywood Bowl. This was released in the 70s, I believe 76. And there's the inside of it. A little bit of memorabilia that they had for the show, I guess, or during the time. And the paper sleeve. Of course, the Screaming Girls everywhere. And this is a live album. And it has, this was a live album that was played probably during 64, 65. 65, because that's Dizzy Mizzy Lizzy, Ticket to Ride, Can't Buy Me Love, Things We Said Today, A Hard Day's Night, Help, All My Lovin', She Loves You. This is a great album. I really enjoy it. It's pretty neat. And I was talking to you earlier about how they would release singles that were not regularly put on albums at all. They would release singles, double-sided singles, and albums. That's unheard of. Well, in 1988, Apple put them all together on Past Masters. This has every single release from 1963 to 1970. There's the inside of it. It's pretty neat. And I don't need to read you the songs. I've been reading them. But, yeah, why not? Love Me Do. From Me to You, Thank You Girl, She Loves You, and I'll Get You. And Matchbox, I Feel Fine. This is just fantastic. And then, and it's in chronological order. And it's a wonderful listen to see how much they matured and how their music changed from one song session to the next, pretty much. And here's a different compilation of love songs by the Beatles. The album cover is different. It feels like it's leather. And there's the inside of it. I like this picture of the guys. Yeah, right there. This too is a double album. And this also has a lyric book that comes along with it. And the album and the lyric book, I've got to show it to you because they just do such a good job of packaging on this album. And this has it all in cursive. And it's got all the lyrics to all the songs that are on this album. And it's great. And like I was telling you before, the Beatles made 5 movies. Oh, well, this has, yes, 5 movies. A Hard Day's Night, Magical Mystery Tour, Let It Be, Help, and Yellow Submarine. And this is a compilation that has the different album tracks on there. For each movie is represented by a song on here. And the packaging of this, it's pretty neat. It's got a little booklet to it. And it's got, you know, it's for each page it will have a representation for that movie. There's the one for Help. And then there's the one for Hard Day's Night. And then right there's, you know, some posters to represent or to advertise each movie. And you see how they have the Beatles going into the movies in different, right here they're like dressed on Help, and then over here they're dressed like on the set of A Hard Day's Night. And then back here you got them in their gear for Let It Be over here, and Yellow Submarine as well. It's pretty neat. And then right here they've got the Magical Mystery Tour person. And this is the soundtrack for the Yellow Submarine. And they do have a different release that was released in '68, but side 1 has the Beatles, and side 2 has an orchestra. This one, it has nothing but the Beatles on this one. Yellow Submarine, Hey Bulldog, which this is the only place you can find it, is on the Yellow Submarine soundtrack. Eleanor Rigby, Love You Too, all together now, another original for Yellow Submarine. Baby You're a Rich Man, only another song that's only for the Yellow Submarine. And It's All Too Much. Oh, that's a great song. And this also has Nowhere Man and All You Need Is Love. This is really good to listen to. Now here's an interesting compilation. It's called A Collection of Oldies. I'm not too sure if y'all are familiar with this album here or with this cover. It's pretty neat. There's the back of it, of the guys. It's oldies but goodies. And the songs on here is She Loves You, From Me to You, We Can Work It Out, Help, Michelle, Yesterday, I Feel Fine. And this is pretty much their earlier stuff. It doesn't go past 66 on here, but it's a pretty fun one. And over here we have the Beatles Rock and Roll Music Volume 1. I have Volume 2 on cassette. Twist and Shout, I Saw Her Standing There, I Want to Be Your Man. I Call Your Name is another song that not that many people that aren't that familiar with the Beatles don't hear, because they don't play on the radio, and it's not on the regular album. It was a B-side, but it's a great song. It's a great song. Rock and Roll Music, which is a cover of a Chuck Berry song, and Honey, That's Money, That's What I Want, which is a cover song, but this is pretty good. And one Christmas, my wife had bought me this. It seems to be, they call it a bootleg. That's what they say. But it is them in concert, and it's one that I've never heard before. And the songs on here, Twist and Shout, are pretty early songs. So nothing past A Hard Day's Night are on here. And there's the back of it for the boys. There's the front. Pretty weird. And this next one here, it's called the Beatles Ballads. But I've seen this picture before, and they almost put this on the cover instead of the White Album. They almost made this the cover instead of the White Album. I'm sure glad that they picked the White Album, because this is kind of weird. Look at it there. This has, just like it says, their ballads, and just the normal ones that we're all familiar with. And last but not least, is Beatles Love. They now Beatles Love is a Cirque du Soleil production that they have out there in Las Vegas, and this is the album of the soundtrack. And it also comes with a little booklet. Well, not a little booklet, it's a pretty big book. It's pretty thick, and shows different pictures of the Cirque du Soleil performance. And when they put this together, George was still alive, so Paul, George, and Ringo, and Yoko, and Olivia all had a hand in what music went in this, and this was produced by George Harrison's son. So this just isn't any kind of money grabber. This is by the Beatles family, so that's pretty interesting. Well, that's my last Beatle record that I have. I really hope that you enjoyed going through my Beatle records with me, because I sure did enjoy sharing them with you. I hope you join us again when my next episode will be going through the letter C, as in cat. And please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and also please leave a comment. Thank you, and you take care of yourselves.